All right, welcome to this week's episode of Passively Offside. My name is Taylor, as always, in the studio with my friends Brandon, Splenda, and Nephi. As you all know, our faithful leader Boris is away this summer. He is currently working to combat feline obesity in rural Norway, doing some great work over there. Boris, how are the fat cats?
They're just big. I'm working on a Siamese here right now. It weighs about 45 pounds. Hold on real quick. I'm trying to talk with these Norwegians. The splurdy sturdy birdie dirty. The splurdy gurdy hurdy birdie dirty. The splurdy kitty. No, the splurdy kitty. They don't understand me. So back to you, Taylor.
That might be the most racist one we've done.
Oh,
wow.
God.
Okay. Anyway, just so you all know, because you didn't see Boris there, in all seriousness, he is in an area right now where he doesn't have great connection. He's going to do all audio today, and hopefully there are no issues. There may be some issues with his audio. It might cut it out a little bit. We apologize for that. We're doing the best we can. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about today. We are going to start, as always, with our scores, which just keep getting better. I personally feel like this week was horrible. I picked a lot of things that I shouldn't have picked. So there you go. Not including last night. We have not updated for those yet. Those will be on next week's. We have myself at 22 of 68. Boris is 26 of 68. Brandon is 1 of 65. Because I took away your points, because I can. Brandon is 30 of 65, and Nephi is 19 of 57. Brandon is full of himself, and Splenda is 16 of 58. So those are our scores currently up to date for this week. Boris, give us our goal, save, and player of the week, please.
Yeah, kind of sticking to all our awards winners here. Goal of the week this week is going to Obafemi Martins in Seattle. Craziest little chip, really dirty. It was hands down, all of us voted for him. Kind of the same with save of the week, hands down, Brad Knighton. Take a bow, great save. Player of the week, we're going over to New England for this, to their general in their midfield, Lee Gwynn. Another 5-goal, excellent performance by them. Good stuff coming out of New England. Taylor, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Boris. Last week we started with some stats and news. That's something that we're going to start doing more often. I personally liked it a lot. I don't know about you guys. I'm going to be honest, there wasn't a lot this week. So I decided to throw in some news from last night as well. So my first bit of news from Week 12, seeing as we're in Week 12 here, even though this is a Week 11 show, LA has their first goal in under 30 minutes of the season.
Good for them.
Good for them. And they won. Good.
Good for them.
Good for them. RSL took the first leg in the Rocky Mountain Cup, and Toronto and Montreal are playing starting May 28th. They're playing in the Loose Moose Boot the Hoose Cup, otherwise known as the Canadian Cup.
Hey.
That is also very racist, and I apologize.
Hey.
This is getting to be a racist podcast. Something that's actually kind of cool news, Breck Shea is said to be training with FC Dallas right now. Reports are very sketchy if they're going to take him back. FC Dallas already has a 30-man team and would most likely have to get rid of 2 players to have the money and space to kind of get him. The MLS does help teams get players who, if the team and the player are both in agreement, the MLS is, really behind stuff like that. I don't see it happening in this case, but he is making moves back to MLS apparently, so we'll see. And for some shocking news of the day, the USMNT 23-man roster was released. We talked about the US last week. We're not going to talk the same way. We had some other stuff to go over, but this is kind of huge news for us. I'm in US garb, as is some of my other friends here. Splenda, being our US correspondent, thank you. That would be a good one. Let's go over to you. Give me some information on who got dropped off, and let's start a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is only the first week of their 2.5 to 3 week camp where they took 30 guys over to Stanford University and had their training camp. And Jurgen Klinsmann already cut 7 guys and announced the final roster about a week and a half early. It wasn't due until June 1st, correct? the final roster, June 1st
Yeah,
or June 2nd.
It's June 2nd.
That's
June
when
2nd,
it's due.
when it's due. So
Yeah.
this is a little interesting that it came out this early. So 7 guys were cut: Michael Parkhurst, Brad Evans, Clarence Goodson, Joe Corona, Maurice Adu, Terrence Boyd, and the big surprise was Landon Donovan. That leaves us with 3 goalies, 8 defenders, 8 middies, and 4 forwards. Biggest news was Landon Donovan. Like, was anybody surprised by that? Oh, basically everybody, right?
Yeah.
If you're not from the 21st century and don't have a Facebook or don't have a Twitter, you would not have known that Landon Donovan was left off the roster, seeing as it was the biggest thing trending everywhere. Landon Donovan doesn't get to go to the World Cup. Yeah, it's the biggest surprise as an LA fan and USMNT fan. I'm pissed off. Who would have put money that DeMarcus Beasley would have gone to 4 cycles and Landon Donovan only 3? Not me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really, I don't know. I think Jurgen is doing some big things here. He's hoping for a lot. But one of the big things that we were all talking about earlier is, we actually got in depth on our Facebook chat, is what are we seeing for formations? You two specifically got really into the formations chat. So, Brandon, what is your formation for the U.S.? What do you see?
I see one of 2 formations, really, depending on what team they're playing. For a game like Ghana or even Germany specifically, I see a free-flowing 4-5-1, one that kind of turns into a 4-3-3 with players returning back to their position as soon as possession is lost. As far as a team like Portugal, I can see us trying to run a 4-3-3, trying to take it to their less experienced back line. Less experienced isn't the right word. Less talented is the right word. Less talented defensive line. So I can see us running either a 4-3-3 or a 4-5-1, kind of like a free-flowing one that kind of morphs into a 4-3-3 every time we're on attack.
Okay, and who are your strikers?
My strikers? Well, you got Josie Altidore. I want him starting specifically against bigger teams, more physical teams like Germany or Ghana because, well, let's face it, they're a fairly physical team. For a game against Portugal, I'd like to see Aaron Johansson up there. You don't need to hold the ball up quite as much against a Ghana, or I'm sorry, yeah, against the Portugal as you do against, say, a Ghana or a Germany.
Okay. I want to take just a second to point out that Boris has decided to grace us with his face. There's Boris's face.
Yeah.
So there's that. Nephi, what is your formation and who are your strikers?
I mean, starting strikers, it's Josie Altidore. You're gonna go. Well, that's the thing. It's a mixed bag because Klinsmann has run so much right now. Against the last Mexico game, we saw a 4-4-2 diamond, which I really liked. But Brennan brings up a really good point. When you're playing teams with strong midfield, which is pretty much every team we play against, it's really good to compact your mid. And I can really see that the 4-5-1 going, and you're having Beckerman, Michael Bradley, and Jermaine Jones. Your outside wings, you want someone fast, and then we'll get back. And then, yeah, up top, you're going to want your striker, who I personally see Clint Dempsey. I see him making better runs than Josie Altidore. So he'll be able to run the channels, and there'll be that outlet. But that's me on that.
Okay. I want to go a little bit away from formations real quick because, as you all know, Boris is a LA fan, and he loves LA, and LA is his home. And Boris, I want you to tell me a little bit about your feelings about Donnie right now.
Do we have an hour and a half for me to talk today? No, I know we don't. Honestly, I love Landon Donovan. He's a great player. One might think that he's 1 or 2 steps behind nowadays. That's probably one of the key components. His lack of form might have been another. Honestly, one of the big reasons I got really irate when this came out was I would just did not did not think you would not take one of the most experienced person, one that has the most goals scored for the United States in a World Cup, 5 goals, and not take him with you. To me, he's Captain America. You might have Michael Bradley, Clint Dempsey, but he's definitely who I grew up with being, someone that can lead this team and has led this team, goal scoring wise, in a World Cup. If the reason the 23-man roster came out today because Landy got cut and that's all that Klinsmann was waiting for, I guess we now know who we have to stand behind as USMNT fans come Brazil. The only thing I worry about is, with this team that we have going, I hope we're going to actually try to win games and not planning for 2018. Because as you know, it's the World Cup. You don't go to the World Cup to lose, especially not the United States.
Absolutely, good points there, and I am surprised. I'm surprised that Donnie's not in it. We're going to talk a little bit about Portugal today. We're going to go back to Boris later for that. As you know, we're doing one team a week leading up to the Cup. I want to hear from you, Splenda, a little bit about your feeling about our lineup. I personally am going to miss some of the amazing plays from Donovan and Dempsey together. There were some great plays 4 years ago that really made a big impact on the game. How do you feel about him being left out, or really just about our lineup in general?
Honestly, I can say that we still have a very strong roster, in my mind at least. The thing that stands out to me the most was I watched a couple days ago, I think it was against Algeria, where Tim Howard threw the ball out. I think somebody and scored a goal. What do you got?
It was Donovan who took it up the field. Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of vision of the field to move it all the way up like that, and the tenacity of a player is something that I'm hoping we have in some of the guys that are still going to be on the roster. Ultimately, Jurgen Klinsmann is a heck of a coach, or he wouldn't be the U.S. men's national team coach, and he obviously knows a lot more than we do after seeing them for a week. So I'm excited. He definitely made this choice for a reason. He's not leaving Landon Donovan off just to be a thorn in his side. He did this for a reason, and I think we can expect some good things from him this year. I mean, Jurgen Klinsmann, not Landon Donovan.
Well, I think we can expect to see good things from Landon Donovan, too, going back to L.A. LA is going to have an edge. They won last night, but they haven't been playing very well. Just as a sidebar, Splenda, as our Tinder analyst, do you see, if you were in Brazil, would you find some hot chicks on Tinder?
I think it'd be a great thing. I'm not bilingual, so I think the Portuguese speech barrier would be interesting, especially with all those countries coming together. The language barrier would be high, but Tinder game's strong. I think we definitely find some ladies.
Why do we do this? Why do we even do this at this point?
Because we have fun.
Thank you for that. Everything you said before the last question I asked was great stuff. We kind of want to open this up here. Do you guys have anything you want to say about this situation, about our team going in?
I do want to go back to formations for a minute.
Okay.
As far as Ghana, I got some questions on Twitter when I posted about it earlier, and the reason I say a 4-5-1 is important is specifically because of Ghana's midfield. They're powerful midfield. They're aging and a little slow everywhere else but midfield. So the reason why I say we need a 4-5-1 is we need to really pretty much compact that midfield and obstruct the flow of the game for them. It's not going to look pretty when we play them. I can assure you of that. If we're playing pretty against Ghana, we're not doing it right. We need to ruin their midfield. We need to make sure that they can't find passing lanes. And the 4-5-1 gives us the best chance of doing that, unless you want a 4-3-3 where players drop back on defense when they should be playing out on the wing.
Cool. Anyone else?
Well, me and Brad have talked about this a while, but me and Boris, what are your thoughts on the lineup and roster spots?
Well, I'm just trying to think how we're going to play certain players, like Brad Davis, Julian Green as a sub, or if he's going to start one game. Honestly, one of the things when I saw this group come out back when we were all driving to Kansas City, we knew back then that Jurgen is going to use a different lineup every game. We're not going to have the same lineup game 1, game 2, game 3. We have 3 different teams that we're going against that are all different variables. So, I mean, if this is the team he feels has the most versatility to do something at this World Cup, I mean, in Klingsy I trust, but, just with a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth still.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel where you're coming from there. Like we talked about, he's the U.S. coach for a reason. He knows what he's doing, we hope, and we'll see. I think we're all a little concerned going in with the younger players, but who are we?
I've actually got a question for Boris. I've asked Brandon this, but I want to see what you're taking as what is your back four?
At left, Fabian, Gonzalez, Beasler, and Chandler on the right.
Can you say that one more time?
So it'd be Chandler right, Gonzalez, Beasler in the middle, and Fabian Johnson left.
Okay, so you're not starting Cameron.
There's a reason Timmy Chandler's back. To go from being we don't want you, you're saying you don't want to play with us, to having his best part of his season towards the end in the Bundesliga, getting called back in. I mean, there's a reason he's in. And if he's in great form, right back's always been a position that's up in the air for the United States. Granted, Jeff Cameron plays right back at Stoke, and I would be more than happy with him being there. Against teams like Ghana and Germany, I feel like Timmy knows these people, Timmy plays in the Bundesliga. Bundesliga, bro. So we want to make sure we use whatever experience we have.
All right, Brandon, you had something to add?
Yeah, I wanted to just make one little correction, because I agree with everything Boris just said, except for one thing. Just one. Timmy Chandler during the World Cup qualifiers was requested to come in, and he couldn't make it, mainly due to a nagging knee injury that even kept him out of some of the games for Nuremberg too. So he was asked to come in. He didn't. I don't remember him saying anything about not wanting to play. I think it was some kind of fear of airplanes. I thought it was fear of flying. Now that's unsubstantiated, all right? I want to be clear about that. That's just that's hearsay from the Twitter sphere. Okay. So, but what I do know, what has been confirmed, is that he missed a lot of the World Cup qualifying campaign due to a nagging knee injury that kept him unable to play for the national team.
I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, I want to talk about a knee injury. We have a guy who's not feeling. That was a good segue.
It was.
You don't even know what we're talking about.
I do. I
Okay.
I know what segue is.
Okay.
It's a little thing
We have a player at camp right now who is not feeling overly well about his knee. Tweaked it against the Colorado Rapids a couple weeks ago before he left. As far as we learned last night, which was on the 30-30,
Yep.
it was bugging him at the beginning of camp, but I personally haven't heard anything about it. Does anyone know how Omar's doing right now?
I think he had his full 60 minutes of training, I want to say Monday.
Okay, so he's in.
So he's not
Training.
he's training, but not at full level.
Okay.
And that was actually my question. Do you not see Cameron as a center back?
Cameron can play center back, and he's done good at center back. Back when he played at Houston, that was mostly his position. But if I remember correctly, a lot of the best play and the stuff that Stoke kind of picked him up for was when he played in front of the back line for Houston. He was able to kind of direct balls out into the forwards. He patrolled the like kind of the Beckerman-ish position. Hence why he got moved towards the side where he was able to flank up as much as he wants. I don't see him as a center back. He can play it, but I don't see him playing it that for the United States.
So, one last quick question on this then. Who's your third center back? Is it Brooks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Simple. Okay. Well, we're going to transition a little bit into Portugal, unless anyone has something to close us out with.
I mean, I could talk about U.S. men's national team.
We could do this all day.
Before.
But that's not the point today.
I know.
Let's talk a little bit about Portugal. Boris, you are leading our Portugal. Go ahead and take it away.
Well, real quick, just to round off, I'm going to just spitfire these out. We don't want to spend too much time here. We do have a couple things we always like to cover towards the end, right? Like our favorite predictions. When it comes to Portugal, goalkeepers, Beto from Sevilla, Eduardo from Braga, Rui Patricio, who is normally their starter, from Sporting Lisbon. Just a note of Beto, he had a couple of great saves in the Europa League Champions Cup just a couple days ago on Saturday. Their defenders, Andre Almeida from Benfica, Bruno Alves, Fenerbahce, Fabio Contral, Real Madrid, Pepe, Real Madrid, João Pereira from Valencia, Ricardo Costa, Valencia, and Neto from Zenit St. Petersburg. Midfielders, João Matinho from Monaco, Miguel Veloso, Dynamo Kiev, Raul Morales from Fenerbahce as well, Ruben Amorim from Benfica, William Carvalho, which is one of their really, really young guys, someone to look for during this World Cup, Sporting Lisbon, and Rafa from Braga, who was only had one cap. He's kind of our their Julian Green-esque player. Their forwards will be Eder from Braga, Helder Postiga from Lazio, Hugo Almeida Besiktas, Nani from Manchester United, and Varela. And as well as we all know, the good old Cristiano Ronaldo from Real Madrid, Ballon d'Or winner, speedster, everyone's someone everyone looks up to, I guess, a way to say it. Sorry, we have a huge attack helicopter going over Norway right now. They're trying to get to the fat cats. I believe it's actually carrying fat cats. We have now gone down to helicopters carrying the cats. They have gotten so big here in Norway. Real quick, what to look for? What to look for from this Portuguese team? Seeing a lot of streaking up the sides. You have a lot of players: Raul Morales, Fabio Contral. Obviously, I've made you guys laugh way too hard. Fabio Contral likes to streak up the sides. All these guys are going to be looking to get the ball to Cristiano Ronaldo. He's going to be running that entire pitch, from midfield to side, trying to get as many shots as he can. I mean, obviously, he's the reason they got here. They had their playoff against Sweden, and he scored all 4 goals in that entire home and away series. The one thing I'm going to want to open this up for is the ways the United States can get at least a point or maybe even 3 from them. Now knowing our full 20-man roster, Brandon, with this team that we have going in, how do we get at least 1 point or 3 from that Portugal game?
Specifically, like I said, I think we need to run something like a 4-3-3. No matter what we run, we have to attack. Their back line, while playing for pretty prestigious clubs, is old. They're old. They're gonna by now they'll have lost a step. I don't care, Boris. You can do that all you want. I still think that they're old. They are going to. I can't hear you when I talk. What was that?
Saying that their back line is so-so. I'm agreeing with.
Oh, okay. You gotta remember, I can't hear you when I do this.
Okay, continue.
Yeah.
Attack is going to be the name of the game against Portugal. It has to be. If you sit back and you try to absorb pressure against a team like Portugal, someone like Postiga or Ronaldo will make you pay. You absolutely have to attack them. You cannot let Ronaldo get the ball in the attacking third. You have to keep the ball in their attacking third, or in their defensive third, so that you are forcing them to not be able to play the ball to their dangerous forwards.
Okay, speaking of Ronaldo, Nephi, how do we contain him?
That was actually going to be my question for Brandon on that. Well, I mean,
I'll take that too.
It's got to be who do you play at your right back, or in your right? Who's your right side?
Who's my right side?
Yeah, because that's going to be the guys that are going to be containing him, because he's going to be playing on the left.
There you go.
Timmy Chandler. I gotta go with Timmy Chandler. Timmy Chandler is a better player than DeAndre Yedlin, while maybe not quite as young and fleet-footed. But Timmy Chandler, as a player, is more tactically aware. He has to be my right side.
Okay. Who's playing your out?
My mid?
Yeah. Or are you doing a 3-3?
In a 4-3-3, my right center mid is probably going to end up being Jermaine Jones.
Do you think Jones on his legs can keep up with him? Yeah. That was my thought.
For 90? No.
But my problem with that is I see Jones getting beat and then making a reckless tackle.
That's what Jermaine Jones does. He'll get his yellow like he always does, and then he'll get pulled at the 60th minute or 70th minute.
Do you switch to a 4-4-2 then?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That's why you bring in Jermaine Jones, honestly, I was going to say on this one, or Kyle Beckerman in that game. You need someone that's going to... I was going to say, the reason you bring him in is you let them read Cristiano. Beckerman is great at reading someone and being able to do something before it happens. And those two guys are physical. Cristiano Ronaldo will go down easy, and they're probably not gonna protect him as much in the World Cup because all the refs are gonna be doing this: get up, get up. So I figure that was my opinion. Taylor and Splenda, one quick last question for you guys on this with Portugal. 1 point minimum or 3 points minimum against them? Taylor first.
Are you asking what I think we're going to get or what we need? I mean, in a case like this, I think it's a 1 point minimum. But, that puts us in a sticky situation. So, do I think we can win this game? If Klinsmann is smart, I think we could, maybe. See, I can't even really say it. No. It's hard to imagine the U.S. winning that game. But I honestly believe that if Klinsmann is smart, if he plays the right people at the right time in the right places, I think we could beat them. Do I think it's overly likely? No. I want to at least walk away with a point. I want, at the very least, a tie there. Of course, I'm rooting for a win. But, yeah, it's going to be a hard game. Splenda?
I think if we want to come out with a win, we're going to have to come out punching them in the face. We have to start early, attacking that back.
Wait, start early, like literally punching them in the face, or
no? We have to come out with a very aggressive style of play, keep the ball pushed forward, do whatever we can to keep that ball out of our defensive third and keep the ball off of Ronaldo's feet. We need to be able to keep that ball forward, always attacking. Eventually, you put enough shots on goal, 1 or 2 will go in. I think we would have to be very aggressive to get 3 points from this game. And the problem with being aggressive is it opens you up for quick counterattacks if you keep pushing people forward. So I think Jurgen will have a good plan. In all honesty, I'm thinking 1 point, but if we really want to advance, we're going to have to get 3 points in more than one of these games. So that's...
Yeah. Well, and what I was going to say is I think everyone's in the same boat that Ghana is must win. Mm-hmm. For us to advance, we have to win Ghana. If we're lucky, we tie Germany and Portugal. But for Portugal, I would rather see that 4-4-2 diamond with Kyle Beckerman. I think that gives us a lot of coverage because we all know he'll just sit back and read those passes and watch the lanes for Ronaldo, and we still have an outside backs or outside wing that can come back and cover. That right side isn't going to get up. It's all going to be through that left side channel.
Alrighty then, that's great. Kind of the stuff we wanted to hear about Portugal, and that's another team that we have to face and we have to get a result with. Passively offside here. We just want to make sure you guys are informed on who we're going against. It's a fun thing for us to do for you guys. Go ahead and send us over to Taylor.
Awesome, thanks, Boris. Before we hit our favorite time in the podcast, I just want to once again reiterate that LA won their first game in a long time, and we're at the bottom of the table before last night. That one's for you, Boris. I love you. Okay. It's time for your favorite part of the show. It is our predictions. We have a couple today. Have we posted the predictions table?
We have.
Predictions table is posted on the Passively Offside Facebook page. I think we should get that on Twitter as well. We can do that. It's something that can happen. But again, we got a couple each this week. If I can get these up here. So, yeah, I know. I got it right here. So I've got SKC in Toronto and New York and Portland. For Sporting and Toronto, I'm giving it to Toronto. I'm sorry. I'm giving it to Toronto because Sporting has not been playing too well. I think they are a little disheartened to be without their glorious leader, Kim Jong-un. I mean, Zeusy.
He's the thunder god, and you will accept it.
I think they're not playing as well without Zeusy, and they've kind of fallen apart a little bit. I hope to see them do well this year because they beat Real Salt Lake in the final last year. Correction, Palmer beat LA or RSL last year, and Palmer can now apparently beat Sporting. Playing for Chicago.
It's the power of his new pigtails.
It's the pigtails. Speaking of hair recently, did anyone see the pigtails? Okay.
They're awful.
They're awful. Okay.
It's like Pippi Longstocking from, well... Only his hair is darker than red.
Anyway, I give that one to Toronto. I think just about everyone except for Brandon gave that to Toronto, and Brandon actually gave them a draw. Normally, we could see that going to SKC because being an SKC fan, but gave it a draw, knowing that they're not playing too well. That's nice. New York and Portland. I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going tonight. New York and Portland. We're all very split on this one. I gave this one to Portland. I think the way Portland has been playing recently is really going to shine. New York hasn't been playing too bad, but Portland still only has one win, right? They haven't gotten a second under my nose or anything, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly. They need that second win. We're kind of in a situation here where it's like, when's their second win going to happen? So those are mine. Boris?
Yeah, so I've got a couple here, but before I say that, just so you all know, if you guys have already hopped on our Facebook and seen the predictions for this week, Brandon has already lost on the first two. So we've all gotten a head start this week, guys. Real quick, Seattle versus Vancouver. I gave that game to Seattle. Vancouver, they're coming off of a couple of tough games. They have won some good ones here, but I just don't see them. I don't see them winning against Seattle, even without Clint Dempsey, Yedlin, and Evans. They still have enough threat to win that game. Next game I have is Columbus versus Chicago. Another rivalry game for Chicago. Chicago and Columbus don't like each other. You know what? I'm giving this as a draw between Chicago and Columbus. I don't see a winner coming out of Crew Stadium. Next person.
No, you actually gave that to the Crew, so you're a liar.
I gave it to the Crew?
You gave it to the Crew.
We did our predictions.
In Norway.
We did our predictions on Tuesday, and you know what? I guess I've changed, and I'm giving that as a draw.
Well, unless Columbus wins, you don't get a point. So that's set in stone. We've made that rule. That rule is made, right?
If it's set in stone, it's set in stone. Columbus wins this game at Crew Stadium. It's the Splurde Durde Gurde Fili and Kitty.
Oh, this is so racist of us. I think we could discuss it with our graphic designer and see if we could get it changed over for you. Brandon, you've got a couple for me as well.
Yeah, 1 second.
Do you want to go? Do you want to go to someone else?
I'm just picturing the Swedish chef every time he does that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Makes
Throw
me
it up there. Work.
What is happening?
We're losing focus.
Okay.
All right, Brandon.
Good.
New England, DC.
All right, I've got New England, DC. New England has been really, really hot lately, and DC is starting to get their form back. I'm going to go ahead and give this to New England. Lee Wynn is bossing that midfield, and I don't think there's anyone DC has that's going to stop him. As far as Colorado and Montreal, well, we all saw how well Colorado played last weekend. Montreal is going to win this game. Marco Di Vaio for the win.
For the record, everyone thinks the Revolution is going to win. Just that's one we all voted on.
Oh, we're all on the rev train right now. Woo! Revolution. Woo, woo.
Well, okay. Where even are we, Splenda?
I have RSL in Dallas. Dallas hasn't been looking good these last couple weeks. They just lost to LA last night. So they are going to come up to altitude up here, head to the right, and see how they can do. I think if we can defend well off set pieces close to the goal against Michel, we should be fine. RSL gets that win. Now, LA and Philadelphia, are they at StubHub Center? Or are they at...
I think they're home again.
They're home again?
Yeah.
So LA is at home against Philadelphia. You know, both teams haven't been looking great, but I think Philadelphia can really, really pull an upset. I'm giving this one to Philadelphia.
You sounded like you were second-guessing yourself there.
Nope.
Okay.
Going to Philadelphia.
Did he have Philly up on the thing?
Yes.
Oh.
Jesus.
Yes.
Okay. Fine.
That's why you picked it.
Houston wins. Let's end this.
Houston wins. Okay, well, this has been a fun podcast. Boris, take us home.
Alrighty then, from the streets of Norway, I'd like to say guten tag and bye-bye to all of you guys. Join us next Wednesday on Passively Offside. We promise to be less racial.